Guten Tag. Hier ist also eine weitere interessante Geschichte aus der Zeit der Invasion über die Beseitigung von Waffen. So yeah, here is an interesting story around invasion time, and it's about getting rid of weapons. For some reason, I always find myself close to the thick of it or in the thick of it. So what happens is that, you have to understand that when we were growing up, we were very untypical in a sense, of kids today. We spent a lot of our time outside, like a typical wharf kid around that time. Home was a place where you retreated to get a little bit of rest, eat some food, say hi to, whoever was home, and then you bounced, and you didn't get back. Interesting enough, this may be hard to believe right now, but at that time, sometimes you wouldn't get back until 12, 1 o'clock in the morning. You know what I'm saying? And of course, there would be consequences. So don't think that we didn't have structure and consequence. We did. But sometimes we might have had a little bit of rebellious spirit at that time. And things were different, things were very different. Kids were outside playing, hanging out, running around, so we did that. So hence the reason why we were able to see a lot of things. So here's a little video. Take a look at this that I made one time recently when I was in Grenada. And it actually gives you a little perspective so you can understand the way I grew up, and the stories that I'm talking about, gives you a kind of geography of where some of them took place. So take a look at this. This is what is left of you guys' home. Beautiful property. This is what is left. So as you can see, it was a pretty decent space. And interestingly enough, I can tell you, besides the house and the backyard, which I would think was relatively sprawling compared, to most backyards at that time, there was 2 mango trees in the back of the house, a Ceylon mango tree and a Julie mango tree. There was also a plum tree and a breadfruit tree right behind the actual porch and a concrete bench area. So it's amazing. I couldn't believe, I used to get into a lot of fights with guys who would try to come over and raid my mangoes and stuff like that. Interesting enough, I used to go raid other people's mangoes. So that's how it worked. But anyway, this is me in the video telling my sisters of, hey, look what happened. Now it's all demolished, and just kind of wanted to give them a little nostalgic feel and tell them about the property. Okay, so let's get into the actual invasion story, war stories right now. So this one begins on the marble playground, and I'm talking about a patch of ground where we would play the game of marbles, or as we would say colloquially, pitch marbles. So we're playing marbles in the middle of the day, and then we notice a vehicle pulls up right next to us. And exiting the vehicle was what would probably be 1 or 2 PRH soldiers mixed with what I believe then would have been militia guys, because they were not in uniform or anything of that sort. But they exited the car with a bunch of weapons and ammunition, not in any combative position, but just wrapped under the arm, some of it in bags, some of it's just being held in hand. And then they proceeded to go behind the building on the other side of the street into the bushes. It was quite obvious that they were planning to conceal those weapons. Things were sort of coming to an end by now, and obviously nobody wanted to be caught with weapons in hand or at their home or in their possession. So they went into the back of the bushes and concealed the weapons, got back into the car, and then left. Well, some may say, well, why would you do that in the middle of the day? Why not in the night? Why not early in the morning? The whole neighborhood possibly would have seen what was going on. But I figured in their minds, they figured there was still some power and people were intimidated, and that people were intimidated and probably wouldn't say anything. So I guess that was their rationale for doing it. Or it could have been just haste, just wanted to get rid of it by the hook or the crook without any thought of how it was done or when it was done. They just wanted to get it off their person. So that happened. We didn't make much to do about it. We continued playing marbles and forgot about it. Now, a day or two after, we again playing marbles at the same place. And then an entirely different experience takes place. We notice coming up Green Street two columns of American soldiers in what I believe would have been probably platoon size, because it looks like it was between 25 and 30 guys. And then some of these guys came and immediately stopped exactly adjacent to the marble playground. So we just kept looking on, and then they proceeded to go behind the house where the PRA soldiers and militias had earlier been. It was quite obvious what was happening. They went into the back of the bushes and retrieved all of the weaponry. Came to the front. Now we got a little more insight to actually what type of weapons it was and how much weapons was involved, because they sort of brought it out and put it on. I think it might have been one of the trucks or jeeps or something like that they had with them. And then we saw it was it might have been Russian-made PKMs, Kalashnikov, boxes of bullets, hand grenades, tons of stuff. So they did that, put it in the vehicle that they had with them, and then proceeded to leave. So it is quite obvious in this situation, without a doubt, more than likely, that someone in the neighborhood would have seen the guys conceal the weapon in the back of the bushes, and someone somehow might have made some call or some sort of something, and that is why the American soldiers were directed exactly to where the weapons were concealed. None of this would have been a coincidence at the time. I can bet my bottom dollar on that. You see, you have to understand that with the climate that existed in a post-October 19th environment, where Morris Bishop had gotten killed and a bunch of his cabinet members have gotten killed, that many people might have had antipathy towards the revolution, might have had antipathy towards the soldiers. I'm talking about the Grenadian soldiers here. So they would have been more than happy to actually rat them out. Again, this is one of the experiences that we would have had during the invasion in 1983. So I hope you enjoyed this one. There's a lot more stories to come. See you at the next one.